Yo, like the thing with the string. It's your boy Chep Woods, and welcome back to Generational Money. Today, I got my boy Shawn Hutson with me. Man, thanks for coming on the show, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you inviting me.
Man. Y'all excuse my voice. Been drinking my tea or whatever, trying to get it back. Should have heard me 2 days ago. All right, man. So Shawn, why don't you go ahead and tell the people who you are and what you do?
Uh, well, Shawn Hutson. I'm a financial representative at Northwestern Mutual. Um, Before I was doing this, I was a teacher for 10 years. So I taught fifth and sixth grade math. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, what made you kind of switch over from the education to the financial representation?
Well, I got tired of breaking up fights.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I felt like after the pandemic, the kids, they was different. But I mean, I love the job. I love teaching. I love, making a difference in the kids' lives. But yeah, like my next passion after, fractions and decimals was financial literacy. So that was the next step for me to just jump into the finance world and help other people with their money.
Facts. And so how long you say you've been doing it for?
So I've been at Northwestern Mutual for about a year now.
And it's your first step into the space.
Yes,
Okay, you enjoying it?
I love it.
You love it? Okay,
Yeah.
so 10 years in education, you see yourself sticking with this, or
Yeah.
okay. Let me ask you, where'd you go to school?
So
Eastern Illinois.
yeah, I went to EIU with you.
Right. I'm asking where you
Um,
went to school. That's where we met. You know what I'm saying? It's my
yeah.
boy. And it's funny because I actually started uh, going to EIU for education, but I changed my major over. Me and bro got similar stories. So why don't you tell the people about that a little bit?
All right. So let me see. I went to EIU, I think 2009. And yeah, because I was supposed to graduate in 12. But yeah, I got there 2009, a little bit after the housing market crash. So a bunch of
Right.
people was losing houses and stuff around that time. And I remember going in. I wanted to be an education major when I first got to EIU. I remember sitting down with like the advisor, and they was like, "What do you want to do?" But I remember at that time in Chicago, a lot of schools was closing down, so I got scared, and I was like, "I want to do technology." So I actually majored in management information systems
Mm.
my first semester at EIU, but I didn't even like do the work. I wasn't interested in it. So I ended up dropping that as a major. I was undecided for a while. I remember going back home for one of our breaks, and my dad was like, "Yo, high school, how's the major going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm undecided."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I want to do." I told him I was scared, to be in education because all the schools was closing down. He was like, "Don't worry about that. Just do what you love, and the money will follow. By the time you graduate, you'll be able to get something. Don't worry about none of that." So I ended up, doing an education major, and I loved it. I remember, it wasn't that many black, men in my class. I remember that much. That's why I was like, oh, I remember, you in one of the lecture halls because it was like 100 of us. And I remember one day when I'm looking around and wasn't that many black people, it's maybe like a handful of dudes, and I think you was the only other black dude in there. So I remember doing that. And then, uh, do you remember the top test?
The what
It
now?
was the basic skills test at first, but then they
Oh yeah,
switched it.
yeah.
So what ended up happening was I actually failed that test multiple times, and then I had to change my major. A bunch of people had to change their major, and then I was majoring in sociology. So then I majored in the study of groups of people, which was cool. I still think fast forward it helped me in education because I was able to understand the groups of kids.
Absolutely. That's why I got my degree,
Yeah,
and I would definitely argue that learning how people interact and why they do the things they do would help manage a classroom.
exactly. So the crazy part is uh, I was in that major for about a year, and then the class that I needed to graduate with that degree wasn't for like another year, and my dad was like, "Yo, you running out of money
Right.
because you in your like fifth year or whatever." So I ended up having to drop sociology as a major as well, and then I ended up getting a degree in general studies. So like in hindsight, like thinking about it, I probably could have 4 degrees, 4 bachelor's degrees.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My actual degree is like in my undergrad is general studies, but I could have a degree in education because I'm only one class away. I can have a degree in sociology because I'm one class away. I could have a degree in communications, but I'm one class away because that was like my minor or whatever, and I ended up having to drop it. But yeah, I ended up graduating with general studies. I came back to Chicago, went to Roosevelt University for my master's in education. Still couldn't pass that test, so they said I couldn't come back until I passed the test. So I ended up, continuously studying and continuously taking the test until I passed it.
Did it cost to take it after so many
Hell yeah,
times?
it was like $100 every single time. So I probably spent thousands of dollars trying to
Right.
pass that test, and it took years to pass that test.
Facts.
But I ended up passing the test, and then I wanted to go back to Roosevelt University, and it was like, oh, we switched the curriculum, and I was gonna have to start over. So I decided I didn't want to do that. Ended up going to Relay Graduate School of Education, and they pretty much paid for my entire degree. It was like $5,000. Like looking back on all the costs, and I ended up just paying that out of pocket.
Okay.
So my first degree, my bachelor's general studies, and then my master's in education.
Okay, and now you are into finances.
hmm
So, before we tap into the financial stuff, like, what's some milestones that you have from your education career?
Milestones in
Yeah,
education.
accomplishments, milestones. You dealt with kids, 10 years.
Um,
And what you taught math?
yeah, I taught math.
Okay, that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was able to impact a lot of the kids' lives when I think about it. You know, it's not that many males, not that many black males in education, like I said earlier. So, a lot of the kids didn't have like a father figure in their life, so they would call me dad.
Right.
You
Right.
know, um, Mr. H, Mr. Hutson, and I had a really good relationship with like all of my students. I mean, it was a few every now and then that I wasn't able to connect with, even though I tried really hard and I had to talk to their parents and stuff like that. But for the most part, I had a really good relationship with all of my students.
Okay, that's
So
dope.
yeah, like they'll invite me to their you know if they go on away parties, they for college or proms and stuff now. Because when I first started, all of my kids, they was like all the ones that I knew wasn't like uh, kindergarten, first, second, third, and fourth grade. Because I started as a paraprofessional my very first year, so I knew all of those kids, and now all of those kids are like going off to college now, so they
Right.
invited me to stuff.
That's dope. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely tough that you was able to maintain the connection throughout all of those years. So you've been into the financial space for about a year, but what about some accomplishments that you have, maybe even with your personal finances or in the job?
Personal finances. I paid off pretty much all of my debt except for my mortgage.
Okay.
So let me see. When I was about my third year into education, that's when I started to have like a focus on finance, personal finances. Um, because I graduated out of EIU with like 30,000 in student loans,
Hmm.
and then I didn't pay like that first year or whatever because I was only making 27,000 a year as a para. Um, and my loans eventually grew to 40,000, and then because I was at Roosevelt, that was another 10, so I owed 50,000. Um, my car was breaking down left and right every single month, so I started putting all my expenses to fix my car on my credit card, so I owed 4,000. So that's 54,000 of debt right there, and I was only making 27,000 to 30,000, during those years. Um, but I ended up, starting to do private tutoring on the side, and before school tutoring, after school tutoring, Saturday school, chess club, Wealthy Wednesday. Um, I, s- I got to a point where I was making 30, then 35, then 43, then 53, then 65, and all the extra stuff put me at like 85. So what ended up happening was I maintained the lifestyle as if I was still making 27,000 when I was really making like 85 with all the stuff I was doing. And I used that time to clear up all of my debt. And it took 3 years to clear up that $54,000 of debt. Um, After that, I built my emergency fund of $10,000, and then I started, investing into my retirement accounts and stuff like that.
Dope, dope, dope.
Yeah. So
So, um, and I just had a question. My bad. First of all, congratulations on clearing up all the debts after mortgage. So when the mortgage paid up, pretty much debt free.
yeah.
Credit nice, got some
Mhm.
money in your investments and your savings. So with your money going up throughout the years, obviously you was doing some supplemental things, but like, were you getting cost of living raises as a teacher, or like maybe moving around? Like, was your income going up in that space, or was it pretty much consistent, but you just kind of kept supplementing it, growing it in that space? Like,
I was only getting 2% raises, bro,
right.
when I was, at my first school. So in order for me to make like those bigger jumps, like $10,000, $20,000, I had to move to a different school. So, I did that. And then, like I said, I did all the other stuff, before school, after school, um, on the side. And that's what brought in the extra income.
Okay, man. So obviously becoming a financial representative, you learn a lot. So like, what's the process? You gotta like take some tests, or you just apply for the job. You gotta have a high school diploma, a degree. Like, how do you get into like being a financial representative, and what's next after that for you?
So when I like first talked to my managing director, Dundee, he told me I had to take like 4 different tests, 2 life insurance tests, 2 health tests. So I ended up passing those, and then I had to go for like training for a month. So I was downtown learning how to be a financial representative and have meetings with people and stuff like that. I had to come with like a list of 300 people, like in my phone book, my friends, my family, people I went to school with, and then yeah, I mean that's pretty much it to get started. To go from from the insurance to the investment side, you can look into the SIE, the Series 6, 63s, the 7. So it's some series tests basically you got to take. And then you'll be able to help people open up like investment accounts and things like that. So I don't have any of those licenses right now. So I have to partner with some financial representatives that, have those tests taken care of. So, my friends, my family, the people that I meet, if they want to open up any investment vehicles, they would just do it, with my partner.
So basically, like, if I want to get some life insurance, and what you say, you had to take 2 health exams, like for like health insurance. Okay, so if I wanted like life or health insurance, I come to you, you get me together. But if I'm like, if I got some paper and I want to invest it in something and I need some help, you will lock in with one of your colleagues, and then y'all will take care of the situation like that.
Yeah, the funny thing is, even though I took 2 health exams and I have a license in health insurance, I don't even use that
Oh yeah.
like license. Yeah, in my practice.
Is that on purpose, or is that just how?
That's just how it is. I never
company-
even asked the question.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Is
hey,
that something that you wanted to, was looking forward to, or it's like whatever?
I mean, I didn't go into this space, from education to finance thinking that I would be, focused on insurance first. I thought I'd be doing investments. And then when I learned more about this space, I was like, oh, that's something you got to work up to.
Right.
So,
end
yeah.
game for you was always investments for sure. Like,
Yeah.
Dope. All right, so like, what are some of the cons of becoming a like financial representative, or even getting into the financial space that you've come across so far?
Like I said, that list of 300 was difficult, man.
Right. So if you didn't get that list, what, they wasn't gonna deal with you? Like,
No,
if
it
it was
wasn't
like,
that. It was
if it was
just
like 212, you know what I'm saying?
it would
Like,
just be more difficult to like make your phone calls out to your people to get meetings on Zoom or whatever. But yeah, like my goal was to get to like 500, even though they told me 300. I got like 480 something.
oh, that's dope.
But yeah, like I wouldn't say like con, but the hardest thing is really getting people to sit down and talk about money. A
And do
lot
you
of
have a dialer, or are you calling out all 480 of those people one by one?
yeah. So I call out to everybody that was on my list. I could hire a dialer. That ain't in the budget right now, but maybe in a couple years I heard a dollar. But yeah, like it was difficult to like call my aunties and my uncles and ask, hey, can you do a meeting? And hear no, right?
I've been there. I
Yeah,
did Primerica for a minute, and man, it's like all I'm asking for is a meeting.
yeah,
You feel me? Like
yeah,
next time I'm over the crib, you need me to grab the groceries out the car? No.
yeah,
Nah, I'm just playing. But I feel you. I understand for sure. So I mean, that's pretty much it. Just just anything where you have to play the numbers game and get people to at least sit down with you and hear you out. That's kind of like the con of it. Like outside of that, you feel like you pretty much enjoy everything else about it.
yeah. I love everything I do about my role, man. I'm helping so many people. The people who say yes, like yes, I'll have a call or a Zoom meeting with you or whatever. When they come to the meeting and we go through a conversation for 30 minutes to an hour, they always say, "This was a good use of my time. I appreciate you reaching out to me." Some people say, "Yo, I was really scared and nervous to talk to you about my money because I know I don't have it together." But yeah, everybody appreciates the conversation, and then we move on from there and have several conversations. I become
Absolutely.
an accountability partner.
Absolutely. Right. So is it like all commission, or is it like salary commission, or if you have a month where you aren't, um, I guess, closing, do you still make anything, or is it like you ain't making nothing that month?
Yeah, I get paid full commission, bro.
Right.
I mean, it's what, the 18th of this month, and the closing date is in like 5 more days, bro.
Right.
$400 is all I made this month.
Facts.
Yeah,
So it's ups and downs.
it's ups and
So
downs.
can you talk about like some of your like best months versus some of your worst months? Well,
Yeah,
I would imagine maybe this 400 was one of the lower
yeah,
months,
yeah. I
right?
mean, it's been months where I made zero. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying?
Yeah.
But it's been months where I made 10,000.
Right.
So
Spread
when
the
you
money out.
average
You
it
know what I'm
all
saying?
out,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
like 3-4 thousand a month.
Oh yeah. That's
And
dope.
that's basically what I was making when I was a teacher. Like before all the extracurricular stuff was about 4,000 a month. But the 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 thing is, I'm able to take this opportunity, even though I might make $400 a month, is because I clear up all my finances, right? Once I got married, my wife had a car. We paid that car off early, and like I said, all we got is this mortgage. So my wife, she made good money, and we have an emergency fund over $20,000. We're investing into our retirement and all of that, no debt. So for the most part,
Even if you make 400, it's like you covered.
yeah,
You fine.
I'm good.
Right.
So if as I continue to stay in this field and take my tests and be able to help people get investments and stuff like that in the future, I can move into making $100,000. So taking a little hit right now, $400 in a month, out of the whole year is really nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what's the process like? Like the months where you did maybe an 8 to 10K versus a lower month, is it like a seasonal thing that you all go through, or is it like how much work you putting in to get that? Could you do 10 every month if you just knuckle down and put the work in, or is it just like the luck of the draw? Like how does that how does that
Yeah.
go for you?
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You got your up months. So like I said, I've been there for 1 year. I've noticed that more people are interested in improving their finances in the beginning of the year. So that was the reason why I made 10,000, in
Facts.
January. But at the same time, it's also like who you know. Like if somebody making $30,000 a year and they want to get some life insurance, you probably gonna make like $100, 200, $300 off that deal. You know what I'm saying? But if I meet Will Smith, he want coverage for his family. That deal might be $50,000. So $100,000 because they have more money to put into it.
Facts. So it's just about proximity and really a numbers game essentially. Do you have any systems? Well, you work for the company, so they probably got their own little systems they use to try to like help find leads, or all the leads you find in depending on you.
So me.
So what do you do to help like find leads, generate leads? You use software, you hopping on social media, how you coming with that?
So word of mouth. If somebody has a really great experience with me, you know, I just hope that they talk to their friends and their family like, yo, like you should go talk to Shawn about this. So then they'll just introduce me to them so that, I could do budgets with them, help them pay off their debt, save, get insurance, investment, and stuff like that. Um, sometimes I go to an event. It might be a networking event where I meet some people there. One of the events I met a guy at Google. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Social media. Sometimes, people might reach out to me on that because of what I post. Like, oh, you paid off, your student loans. That's something I want to do. We should talk. Oh, you paid off your car. Oh, that's something I want to do.
So there's no expenses that's really coming out your pocket to do this stuff. It's like I say, if it ain't put up by Northwestern Mutual, you're not like paying for a monthly subscription or maybe gas going somewhere, but like no monthly expenses on the financial representation side.
Well, I mean, that's the way I guess I built my practice. Everybody is different.
Right.
Like I said earlier, I could hire a dialer. Like I got people who call me and ask, like, hey, can I become your dialer? We work with people with Northwestern Mutual, and we can generate leads for you and stuff like that. But it's not in my budget to hire anybody right now.
And they got these
So
dialer softwares to where it's like it dial up the numbers for you and it kind of filter out. So you can look into that too, where you don't necessarily need a person. It might be something, but so but you have the free range to kind of make those investments to kind of increase maybe the leads that you get or the marketing and advertisement. Like you can invest in that in its own. Um, so does a top financial representative or advisor have a financial advisor? Like a top lawyer might represent themselves, or they might call up a colleague to represent them. Like, would you just do it yourself, or would you have, I don't know, an accountability partner in your space?
yeah, so in my case, I look at my mentors. My mentor is Aaron Sims.
Shout out to Aaron Sims.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron Sims. So, I've been working with him since day one I got there. So, anytime I'm talking about money with, my wife or whatever, and it's an annual review, Aaron Sims is a part of that conversation. Um, but yeah, like even at the top, I'm pretty sure, the advisors got advisors. I remember asking my barber, like, bro, do you got a barber? You know what I'm
That's what
saying?
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah,
I'm sure some people do it on their own. At the end of the day, it's information. But at the same time, it's like you might be very knowledgeable about your own finances, but it's still worth having somebody else from the outside looking in. It might be something that you forgot about.
right. Or they
Like
not as emotionally tied to it as you are. Them emotions definitely impact your decisions.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. So you now that you in that space, like before getting into it, like one of the things you mentioned earlier was you thought you were just about to come in straight into the investments, but you saw it was something you had to build up to. Is there any other like misconceptions that like us common folk who aren't working in that space, who may be interested in getting in that space may have?
Yeah. When you first come in, like I said, you're making commissions, so you ain't making anything.
Right.
Um, I tell a lot of people who ask like, "Hey, should I jump into this space?" I'm like, "Well, can you afford to go without getting paid a couple months? Because you got to build your own portfolio. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't got no emergency fund, you got hella debt, it's gonna be tough. If you got your own expenses, like you got to pay rent, you got to pay mortgage, you got a family, you might not be able to survive long enough to receive $0
Right.
or $400 check in a whole month because you got mouths to feed. So if you young, you stay at home with your parents, or your wife, make good money, or you don't have that much debt, you already got an emergency fund, you probably can weather the storms. So if you can weather the storms, you
by all
good.
means. So definitely, if you want to get to this space, you need to have time for something that supplements, or you need to have a good nest to be able to, get into your groove.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's kind of like anything with entrepreneurship. If you don't already have a network behind you, man, what are your ideas on generational wealth? Um, you say you marry any children?
I don't have kids, but yeah, I'm married.
Okay, so no kids, you might have somebody you want to leave something to, right? You probably got some beneficiaries on your life insurance law. So like, what are your ideas on that, and like, how do you plan on being impactful in that space?
All right. Well, I want to start general. Like in general, I think everybody can achieve generational wealth, financial freedom. Have money put to the side so that way you get to a place in your life in the future and you don't want to work, you don't have to. I think everybody is capable of that. Now, personally, yeah, I don't got no kids, so I'm gonna just leave everything to my wife. I'm gonna leave everything like to my mom, my dad, if something were to happen to me right now. But in the future, my wife and I actually had the conversation like, let's say we 70, 80, 90 years old, who we leaving it to? I mean, we can leave it to our church. You know what I'm saying? We can leave it to some organizations that we care about, help the children or something, foundations. Um, we can leave it to our friends' children, so that way they don't have to struggle, or they children's children. So even though it's not like, because we don't have any kids, we don't have a you know anybody
Purpose,
to leave it
right?
to. Is somebody, an organization, or our friends, or our friends' kids, or our friends' kids. That's still generational wealth.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, dope, dope.
I might leave it to you, right?
Nah,
I want Pemberton Hall back open,
nah,
bro.
we cool on that, man. You find your homies can do better
We need
with the
that
bread.
Chinese
They
food back open.
they robbed us for what you say you was 30K with them. They got enough of your money, bro. So it was something I meant to ask you a second ago. I'm probably gonna cut it back in. Uh, so like when you first starting off, I mean, I'm sure you in grind mode regardless, right? But like, does the work load change from like your first couple months to now that you like you a year in, you probably got some clients, like you say, you didn't have some 10K months. Like, are you putting in like the same amount of hours every day, or is it a little more flexible? Because I'm sure when you doing commission based stuff or entrepreneur based stuff, like flexibility is something we all value, but you got to work up to it. Have you found yourself in that space yet, or you just still grinding long hour days to get to that?
I just remember it was Carmen Hall with the Chinese food, but
Oh
yeah.
man, you used to be a hit.
But
I don't even eat Chinese food, but that little
hey, I ain't
meat,
even like
that
Chinese
little
food
meat
either,
they
but it
had
was
was a
good.
hit, boy. Yeah.
But yeah, when I first started, man, last year around February, I was working 12 plus hours a day. I was working on weekends, calling people up, trying to get meetings, or like, once I got like 5 months in, when I was doing my own meetings, I was doing meetings on the weekend. On my birthday, I left my birthday party. Everybody had drinks, did shots, everything, and I left, and they was all still drinking, so I can go do another meeting. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm a year in, I've taken a small step back, only because like my wife was like, you know, I want you to spend time with me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you spending all your time on work because you're trying to get your business off the ground. And I'm like, you know what? I completely understand.
And
Um,
fortunately, you were able to tell her like, I hear you. Because if not, they'd be like, "Bae, I gotta grind." So you definitely set yourself up real well. You know what I'm saying? Not to cut you off though.
Yeah, but like the way I look at it, I need to put in hours. Like I have to every single day. I have goals in mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to pay off my house early. Matter of fact, I want to pay it off next year, December. I will be 5 years in my condo, and I want to pay it off next year, December. My wife told me that she wants to retire when she's 50. So okay, cool. So I got to make enough money to make sure that she retire. My wife and I, we like flying. We like flying to at least one or two countries a year
Mm.
on business class. So that's like $10,000 plus in order for us to travel. So in order to get the life that I desire, I got to put in the work, and I'm cool with doing that.
All right, so like, what are some of the financial products that people, um, maybe not even just low income, but low income individuals could take advantage of that they may not be so privy to? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that you offer or that you don't offer that they could still, get into.
So Northwestern Mutual believe in risk management and wealth management. So we like to start off with the risk management tools. So those can be things like disability and life insurance and things of that nature. Because if anything were to ever happen, you pass away, early, we want to make sure, you leave an inheritance, right? You leave a legacy. I mean, what else could you put, maybe 50, $100 in, and then it turns into $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, half a, 500,000, life insurance, right? Like if you got a policy on yourself because you're insurable and you were paying your premiums and you pass away, you know, you leaving money to your family. Now, when it comes to, the wealth management tools, such as like investments, it takes time in order for those assets to accumulate.
Right. And then your risk tolerance and how much you have, how much capital you have, gonna all play a factor in, you hitting that goal and how soon.
Hmm.
Um, in your experience with this first like year and a half, do you come across many people that don't have a budget? What or can you talk about like the importance and the value of budgeting?
If I sat down with 10 people and I asked, do you keep a written budget? Written meaning you literally write it down, pencil paper, you use an Excel spreadsheet, you use an app. As long as you actually keeping track yourself. Out of 10 people, maybe two say yes.
I was part of them too, y'all. Learn up, but I'll go ahead.
Yeah. I every single meeting when I ask that question, I'm like, hey, listen, budgeting is a secret sauce to building wealth. If you don't know how much you make and you don't know how much you spend, how you gonna become wealthy? Now,
Mm.
is it possible? Yes, you can hit the lottery or something. You can start a business, and maybe make millions of dollars. But what's the chances of that happening if you don't keep track of anything?
I would argue you're not wealthy just having that capital. I mean, you got some cash, which with inflation depreciates, so you got to get that cash into some assets that got some appreciation, and then I would give you the wealth. I'm just calling you rich until you figure out where to put that money, because you could put that money in some things to where it go down. Could have invested in Blockbuster, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you get, even if you win the lottery, I'm not calling you wealthy. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling you rich
Mm-hmm.
if you got $1 billion. So if you financially illiterate, you gonna give it back. You don't give it away. You don't mess it up. If you don't get smart or get with somebody who's smart, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get with my boy and his team, you know what I mean? So uh yeah. Again, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was you
I
done?
mean, I can talk more about
No,
budgeting all
oh,
day.
no. I thought you. I
Yeah, I
just.
mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, when it comes to
No, because you
budget,
was cooking. You was talking about the secret sauce to. I'm like, I'm
yeah,
gonna clip that up.
yeah,
But yeah, if you done with that, then
yeah.
I
I mean,
just.
I can talk about it a little bit more.
Um,
Um, Oftentimes people only keep if they keep track of their money. They know when like rent come out. They know when the electricity bill is due. They keep track of maybe groceries or something like that, but they don't keep track of going out to eat. They don't keep track of when they go to the bar, the discretionary spending. So like if you ordering stuff off of Amazon and you know things like that, like how
Like
much.
how much money do you really have to even allocate to that? Because you might go over what you really got. You over budget, but you don't have a budget. But if you did, you would be over budget. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
like people are not keeping track of what they spend.
So when you follow up with people and you find that people are starting to keep up with what they spend, are you seeing like, can you talk about some of the results or the changes that you see for the people who actually start to do that versus the people that don't?
Yeah, for sure. I got a couple people that when they become clients, I ask them how often do you want to meet. Some people say they want to meet once a month. They want me to hold their hand and make sure that they budgeting. So every single month we'll get on the calendar and I'll ask them, how is budgeting going? Pull up your budget. Let me see the numbers for myself. Have you been saving money to your $1,000, or have you been saving money to your 3 to 6 month of expenses? Have you been paying off your debt? You know what I'm saying? So like every single month they're coming in and I'm holding them accountable for the things that they said they wanted to achieve. Now it is sometimes where people come into the meeting and they be like, "Yo, I just swiped the credit card for like $5,000. I had to get my car fixed." You know, and then I gotta talk about the psychology of money because now they kind of want to give up, because they have to use their money for an emergency fund, or swipe a credit card or whatever. Now I don't. If somebody gets in, they have to spend $500 and they have to go into their emergency fund, like the bank, in order to pull out the $500. I know you feel a type of way because you've been working really hard to save your $1,000 or your 3 to 6 month emergency fund, but that was the point of the money being there in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't personally. I don't want you using credit cards, paying 30% interest on an emergency.
Facts.
So as long as you keeping track of your cash, you putting money into a savings account, you paying off your
And you
debt,
think what
you
you
can get
think worked
ahead.
best? The writing it down, the Excel sheet, the apps. You found any apps you think are just dope, or you old school traditional with yours?
Personally, I use an app called Every Dollar,
Okay.
so I use that app. But if somebody come into the meeting and they say that they keep a written budget, you know, and they said, yes, I do this, like, I'm not trying to fix it if it ain't broke. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
But if they
So,
not, you will recommend every dollar.
well, if they're not, I'll ask them, have you ever tried to budget? And then when you budgeted, what did you do? I'll ask them, like, hey, would you like to see how I budget? I mean,
I,
even when,
I I love that you keeping it them centered around them. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even with Northwestern Mutual, you can download the app. You can plug in all your bank accounts, credit cards, and all of that, and they keep track for you automatically. So you can even use that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's whatever you feel comfortable
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
because
yeah.
everybody is different.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You have any books you could recommend to the viewers? Maybe 3 to 5 books.
absolutely. I mean, the three books that I read when I was $54,000 in debt. I read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and The Millionaire Mind by Dr. Thomas Stanley. When I read those three books, it changed my mind of how money works. So those are the three books that I would recommend. I mean, there's plenty of other books out there for sure.
Throw me at least one more because we get Rich Dad Poor Dad all the time. So I want to get an audience, which shows how good of a book it is. But I just
Yeah,
want to add a little more variety. So just throw an honorable mention in there for me.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would talk. The reason I mean, I've read a bunch of books about money, but I guess that one came to mind because it's like a parable and it's really short, and a lot of people don't like to read, so why not that one?
Hey.
It was basically talking about a dude being a slave, and he wanted to get out of slavery. In order to get out of slavery, you gotta work hard and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, debt is like that. Debt is that slavery. They talk about that hamster wheel having to work, and you only want to work this job no more. Is because of like that debt. And I mean, even like with education, I felt comfortable, leaving education once I paid off my debt.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it,
Facts.
it feels like freedom when you pay that debt off.
Man, so if people want to get in touch with you or find you or lock in, like what can they do then? Why don't you let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can literally email me or go to my website. My website, ShawnHutson.nm.com. And then you said you was gonna also put like the link
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
video. You can literally click that link, put time on my calendar. We'll sit down and talk for 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, hit the man up, man. He's definitely good at what he does. Man, I want to thank you for coming out
Yeah,
one more
appreciate
time,
you.
man. Another episode of Generational Money. Thank y'all for watching. Shout out to Royalty Productions. Chep.